Hi everybody, hey, it's Peter Boland again, inviting you to stick around with me for a little bit here. We're going to spend some quality time investigating one of the most amazing of the Upanishads. You know me, I'm always combing through the world's literature, the world's wisdom writings, to find passages that put down on the page that which cannot be written. What a trick, right? And that's what the great mystical texts do. They put into conceptual written form that which is fundamentally ineffable or beyond thoughts and beyond words. And boy, does this example really get to the heart of that. I'm talking about the Kena Upanishad or Kena Upanishad. It's short, it's only 6 pages long. I'm going to read the whole thing right here and we're going to go through it and think about what it's doing, what it's not doing, and what it begins to open up. I don't really want to tell you what it begins to open up because I think you'll feel for yourself how things begin to open up as we investigate this really beautiful passage. If you've been around here for a while or studied Indian philosophy somewhere else, you know that the Upanishads are this amazing collection of Indian wisdom written about 3,000 years ago, somewhere in that first millennium BCE. We're not quite sure, scholars disagree. But for our purposes, we're here to revel in Eknath translation of the Kena Upanishad today. Let's get started. So like a lot of the Upanishads, the setup is a teacher and a student talking, which is such a beautiful device, right? A dialogue like Plato did, where he put Socrates in a room with some guys and they just got into it. Well, here you have two people talking, the teacher and the student. And the Kena Upanishad is really broken up into 2 sections. The first section about 3 pages, the second section about 3 pages. The first section, scholars argue, was probably more recent. The second half is a parable we'll get to in a few minutes. That's probably much older. But in this first half of the Kena Upanishad, you've got this classic dialogue between teacher and student into the nature of Vedic wisdom. In other words, what is the ground of being behind everything else? I mean, we all have sensory apparatus. We see, we hear, we smell, we touch, we think about all the things that we perceive. So we got that whole world going on. But as we know from our Hindu studies, a lot of that surface consciousness is plagued by the illusion of Maya. And there's this sense, and there's the clear teaching, as we'll see in a moment, that there is a deeper reality hidden from us by that surface reality. Look at how this teacher and this student peel back the layers of the onion in that inquiry. The student says, "Who makes my mind think? Who fills my body with vitality? Who causes my tongue to speak? Who is that invisible one who sees through my eyes and hears through my ears?" Listen to the question that this insightful student is posing. It's really another form of the question we've already discussed in our video series on the Katha Upanishad. In that story, Nachiketas, the boy, travels to visit Lord Yama, the Lord of Death, and asks him, is there life after death or not? Which is another form of this question. Look, when my body stops working, when all of our bodies drop, does anything go on? Is there something about me that is so hidden beneath the layers that I'm not even really aware of it? I'm alive, but what is living through me? And here's what the teacher says. The self is the ear of the ear, the eye of the eye, the mind of the mind, the word of words, and the life of life. Let me pause again. But what is the self? Well, again, students of Vedanta are familiar with this phenomenon that in the English translations of these Sanskrit texts, the Sanskrit word Atman is rendered often as self, but capital S self, not my private little Peter Boland self running around, but the one universal self, the universal consciousness in which we all participate. In the same way that there is one ocean but many waves on the surface, and each of us is a wave, unaware that we are all just the ocean waving. And so that word Atman is really the name of the universal consciousness of Brahman. Brahman, Atman are often hyphenated and put together. They're in a way synonymous. They are the words in Vedanta philosophy for that formless, sacred, eternal reality which takes form in the world of temporality here as all of these things. And yet underneath the surface of all of these embodied forms is Brahmanatman, or just Atman in this passage, Atman being self. So he sort of answers the kid's question. He says, when the kid asks, who makes my mind think? Who fills my body with vitality? The teacher says, the Atman. I'm going to use the word Atman instead of self. It's just clearer. The Atman is the ear of the ear, the eye of the eye, the mind of the mind, the word of words, and the life of life. He goes on, rising above the senses and the mind and renouncing or letting go of separate existence, the wise realize the deathless Atman. And remember, in our conversations about Vedanta, the word realize has a special meaning. It does not mean to simply intellectually comprehend. To realize means to make real, to embody, to transform into that awareness of your identity with the ground of being. That I am that. And then, somewhat confusingly, it switches to the male pronoun here for the Atman. It says, him our eyes cannot see, nor words express. He cannot be grasped even by the mind. We do not know, we cannot understand, because he is different from the known, and he is different from the unknown. Thus have we heard from the illumined ones. So what's dissolving in our hand here is the ordinary duality between known and unknown, between the knower and that which is known. All those binaries, all those dualities are sort of slipping through our fingers here, because the Atman is beyond all of those categories of knower and known, or known and unknown. Confused yet? You should be. If you're feeling a little slippery here, you're on the right track. Let me go on. This is still the teacher responding to this student. He says, that which makes the tongue speak but cannot be spoken by the tongue. Know that as the Atman. This Atman is not someone other than you. That which makes the mind think but cannot be thought by the mind. That is the Atman indeed. This Atman is not someone other than you. That which makes the eye see but cannot be seen by the eye. That is the Atman indeed. This Atman is not someone other than you. That which makes the ear hear but cannot be heard by the ear. That is the Atman indeed. This Atman is not someone other than you. That which makes you draw breath but cannot be drawn by your breath. That is the Atman indeed. This Atman is not someone other than you. So notice the repetition there, a beautiful hallmark of oral tradition that is rendered in written form. So who knows how long these teachings existed as oral tradition before they were first written, as far as we can tell, again, in that first millennium BCE. But you got the thesis there, didn't you? He's just expounding on what he initially said, going through them one by one. The tongue that speaks, the mind that thinks, the eye that sees, the ear that hears, the life within you that draws breath. All of those things are the Atman acting through you as you. So you needn't look anywhere to discover your inner divinity. Let's just put it plainly like that. Every activity of your mind-body is an expression of your inner divinity. How's that for direct teaching? That's how rich this Kena Upanishad is. It's amazing. So the teacher then says, he says to the student, if you think I know the Atman, you know not. All you can see is his external form. Continue, therefore, your meditation. So I can't see you because there's not a camera pointing at you, but you can see me because there's a camera pointing at me. So this guy here, Peter Boland, you see something, you hear something, you get a sense that I'm here in this room. And that's all you get is the perceptual evidence of my existence. And now turn it to yourself. As you look at your own body, hear it, feel it, smell it, taste it, touch it, see it. You have a perceptual awareness of your body, of yourself. But all you are looking at is the external form of the Atman. So claiming to know what the Atman is, the teacher says, hold on, be careful. You can't know that because it is not a thing that can be known in the normal way of using that word know. The student kind of gets that. He says to the teacher, I do not think I know the Atman, nor can I say I know him not. That's a good student. She is taking the middle ground, a kind of indeterminate stance. I neither can claim knowledge of Atman, nor do I have a clear sense that Atman is utterly hidden from me. There's some aspect of awareness of Atman growing in me as I sit in this dialogue with you, O teacher. She or he or they seem to be implying. It's very nice. Then the teacher closes out their teaching this way. There is only one way to know the Atman, and that is to realize him yourself. Again, to make real your embodied awareness, which is not a concept. It's not a conceptual knowing. It's not having the right definitional, conceptual, intellectual understanding. It is a peace that passes all understanding. And then the teacher says, the ignorant think that the Atman can be known by the intellect, but the illumined know he is beyond the duality of the knower and the known. There's that idea again. The Atman is realized in a higher state of consciousness when you have broken through the wrong identification that you are the body subject to birth and death. To be the Atman is to go beyond death. There we have another echo of the Kena Upanishad, which put it really the same way. To understand Brahman Atman, to realize Brahman Atman, one passes beyond the sway of death. This is the universal archetypal longing we see throughout world religions. It's clearly a headline in Christianity, immortal existence. To somehow transcend the world of anitya, as Buddha called it, impermanence, of forms coming into being and going out of being. To somehow realize our deeper connectivity to a realm that is untouched by the ephemeral, transitional quality of the phenomenal world. In a word, transcendence. And yet we needn't leave here to experience it, because this is how the transcendent is expressing itself. The transcendent becomes immanent through us. That's what we see again and again in the Vedanta philosophy of the Upanishads. Closing out this first section here of the Kena Upanishad. Realize the Atman, the teacher says, the shining goal of life. If you do not, there is only darkness. See the Atman in all and go beyond death. Reminds me of a line in the Bhagavad Gita where Krishna teaches Arjuna, Get to a place, he says, paraphrasing, where you see the Atman in all. You see the Atman equally in the spiritual aspirant and in the dog, in the outcast and in the butterfly, in the mountain bathed in the glow of sunlight and in the gutter in the alley. Learn to see Brahmanatman behind the veil of all its myriad appearances, and you will have realized Brahmanatman. So that's the first half of the Kena Upanishad. Let's tackle the second half. And the second half is, again, scholars argue, a much older part of the text, and it's a parable. It's a parable about three of the most prominent Vedic gods. Agni, the god of fire, Vayu, the god of air or wind, and Indra, kind of a governing god who's sort of above those other two gods. So these three god buddies are hanging out. Agni, Vayu, and Indra. That's the story. Here we go. Once upon a time, the gods defeated the demons and thought the victory was brought about through the power. I switched a word and it changed the meaning. Let me start over. Once upon a time, the gods defeated the demons, and though the victory was brought about through the power of Brahman, the gods boasted, ours is the victory, and ours the power and glory. So these three particular gods are feeling pretty good about themselves right now, a little bit proud. And you know what happens to characters in stories like this that are a little boastful. Watch. Brahman saw their foolish pride and appeared before them, but they recognized him not. So the three gods are standing over here, and this mysterious being of Brahman appears, but they don't know who it is. It's just a mysterious being. And the three gods are looking at each other, and they said to Agni, god of fire, go over there and find out who this mysterious being is. And Agni says, I will. And he went to approach the being. Who are you? Asked the mysterious one. I am Agni, god of fire, known to all. Are you powerful? I can burn all the earth. Burn this. And Brahman placed a straw in front of Agni. The god of fire attacked the straw but failed to burn it. Then he ran back to the gods and confessed, I have failed to discover who this mysterious being is. They turned to Vayu, the god of air, and they said, find out who this mysterious being is. I will, promised Vayu, and he approached the being. Who are you? Asked the mysterious one. I am Vayu, god of air, king of space. Are you powerful? I can blow all away. Blow this away, Brahman said, placing the straw in front of Vayu. The god of air attacked the straw but failed to move it. Then he ran back to the gods and confessed, I have failed to discover who this mysterious being is. They begged Indra, leader of the gods, find out who this mysterious being is. I will, said Indra, and he approached the mysterious being. The mysterious being disappeared instantly. And in his place appeared a lovely goddess of wisdom, Uma, U-M-A, Uma, daughter of the Himalayas. And Indra asked her, who was that being? And Uma replied to Indra, that was Brahman, from whom comes all your power and glory. The gods realized at last that the Atman is Brahman. Agni, Vayu, Indra, these three gods excel among the gods because they realized Brahman. The light of Brahman flashes in lightning. The light of Brahman flashes in our eyes. It is the power of Brahman that makes the mind to think, desire, and will. Therefore, use this power to meditate on Brahman. He is the inmost Atman of everyone. He alone is worthy of all our love. Meditate upon him in all. Those who meditate upon him are dear to all. The student comes back in and says, "Teach me more of this spiritual wisdom." And the teacher says, "I shall share with you fully what I know. Meditation, control of the senses and passions, and selfless service of all are the body." So there's an analogy. "The scriptures are the limbs, and truth is the heart of this wisdom." So again, meditation, control of the senses and passions, and selfless service of all, those are the body, scripture are the limbs, and truth is the heart of this wisdom. And he closes with this. The teacher says, "Those who realize Brahman shall conquer all evil and attain the supreme state." Truly they shall attain the supreme state. And as all of the Upanishads close, this one closes with this prayer. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Or in English, Om, peace, peace, peace. So ends the Kena Upanishad. What a beautiful message in a bottle from people like us, truth seekers like us, on the other side of the planet in India, 2,000-3,000 years ago, equipped with the identical faculties with which we are equipped, who in their rich and ancient philosophical wisdom-seeking tradition that we in the West sort of sloppily call Hinduism. And as we know, Hinduism is a kind of an umbrella term under which exist many different schools of thought. Kind of a Vedanta perspective here today, focusing on an Advaita Vedanta insight that all is one, that everything is Brahman, Atman. And you know what I love most about that little parable that the Kena Upanishad closed with? That even the gods forget. You know, this is what's so fascinating to be about Hinduism, well, among many other things, that there's kind of at least two things going on. There's the very recognizable polytheistic mytho-religious universe of thousands of gods and goddesses who sometimes are not all-knowing, right? They're sort of small-minded, as we saw in this story. They're sort of like us. And then the other overlay in Indian philosophy is the deeper insight that all is one. That all of the gods and goddesses are simply representations, personifications, maybe manifestations of that one singular underlying I know not what, that blooms forth into all that is, all matter, all energy, all consciousness, all being, rooted in the same root. And like a lotus flower coming up and blooming, the expression of the flower is contained fully in the root. This is a non-dualistic or monistic philosophy with far-reaching ramifications for all of us. There is no such thing as the stranger. There is no such thing as us and them. There's just us. We've moved beyond even the biblical ethos of I am my brother's keeper. How about I am my brother? All of the boundaries in this realized consciousness, all of the boundaries become diaphanous or porous, and there is just the oneness of divinity that I am, that you are. This is blasphemy in the normal Judeo-Christian way of talking, where in those dualistic philosophies, God is transcendent and we are created by God to have a relationship with God. But in Vedanta philosophy, we see a different set of possibilities coming into focus of, sure, that works too. It's not that that ideology is wrong. As we've seen in this Upanishad, as in so many of the others, all the ideologies kind of work at the level of ideologies. Our task as thinking people is to feel and reason and yearn our way across that borderless border between where we are in our incompletion and in the totality that draws us in our deepest longing. And what a fascinating claim to stumble on in these ancient wisdom texts, to realize that in the end, we are that essential quality that we have been longing for. In the language of the mystics of Islam and Judaism and Christianity and so many traditions, at the end of all the seeking, you finally realize that your longing for God was God's longing for God. And when you get there, you just have to laugh, don't you? You just have to laugh. And let it all drop. Thanks for joining me today for our look at the Kena Upanishad. I'll see you on the other side.